Welcome back to the Win A Pageant podcast. I'm so excited to introduce you to my client and guest today. This is Meg Brown, and Meg was top 15 at the USA Petite National Pageant this last August. She represented Texas as Mrs. Texas. Now, she's a family nurse practitioner, but also the owner of MB Consulting and Coaching, where she does etiquette and style consulting and health coaching as well. She lives in Beaumont, Texas with her husband and their two Cocker Spaniels. Some of the things that she loves to do are volunteering and running and travel. And I'm so excited for her to share with you today a bit about her nonprofit. Now, one of the things I get asked very frequently is about how do I even start a nonprofit. So Meg and I are going to get into the details of that today. But before we do, please welcome Meg. Hi, Meg. Thank you again for joining us today, even from your car in the middle of the women's conference. I'm so happy you were able to prioritize this.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me and being on here. Yes, thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. It's like it's the total stereotype of a true queen to be multitasking like this. Like you're like, look, the opportunity is here and I'm going to just sneak out of the women's conference, head to a quiet place and make it happen. And you are.
Yes.
So
yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to first, if you could share with our audience a bit about the nonprofit, share about the mission and the heart behind your nonprofit and what do you guys do with it?
Sure. So it's called Period Power Pantry, and I started it back in 2019, kind of from a mix of things. One, I was an OB-GYN nurse, so I was in a clinic and I, did a lot of women's health type of teaching and education. And I found out that a lot of women didn't know or understand what having a period meant. No one had taught them. They didn't learn it in school. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is such a deficit in being a woman and knowing how beautiful our bodies can be. Second, my house was flooded twice actually in 2 years, and that second time, of course, I started my period. I didn't have any supplies because they were all drowned in the flood waters, and so it was really hard to come across a store that was open that had supplies available. So I just kind of had to make do and create, be creative in that aspect. And through my volunteer service with homeless people, I found out there were a lot more women than I knew and that they needed products as well. So all those combined, I decided Period Power, and basically we do provide menstrual supplies and hygiene supplies to really anyone who is in need.
That's incredible. Yeah. And it's such an interesting story, because that was not something you ever struggled with previously, was the lack of supplies or access to it. But then to have that experience where in an unprepared way, all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, this thing is it. And to think that there are so many people out there that every single month they don't have access to the supplies that they need. And so that's what Period Power Pantry really does. And so share with me a little bit about the successes that you've experienced so far as a nonprofit. What have you guys been able to achieve?
Yeah, so we've actually, first we started delivering packs, or period packs, which consist of different sizes of menstrual pads, deodorant, hand sanitizer, body wipes, and an inspirational quote in the bag. So we first started giving them to schools. And then it's kind of expanded because now I've partnered with communities and schools of Southeast Texas, and they have reached over 50 campuses over in the last year. And then that's a nonprofit as well, a national nonprofit. So I've had other communities and schools, statewide, region, outside of Texas, contacting me and asking if they can get some period packs or some period information. So it surprisingly has taken off, and people know about it, and people want us to help them out, help their nonprofit out, or help their schools out or whatnot.
Yeah. So where are you getting the donations, or how are you raising funds to support it?
So of course we have an Amazon wish list that's where a lot of our donations come from. One Sunday, the first Sunday of every other month, volunteers come to my house, and we create the period packs, assemble the period packs, and so there a lot of people also donate products as well. So it's just, yeah, kind of word of mouth, you know, donate here, donate now. And we've actually partnered with some businesses locally where they have donation bins. So people can, you know, donate products if they're out and about or whatnot. So
That's wonderful. Yeah. We'll make sure, I want to make sure I get that link from you so I can include it in the
yeah,
show notes of
yeah,
this podcast. I'll make sure that it gets in our, our description and stuff so that those that want to contribute are able to through Amazon. So that's awesome. So let's talk for a moment about how you got this started, not necessarily in the idea, but how did
Mhm.
you actually make the nonprofit? How did you make it a reality and a legal entity? Let's talk about that. What were some of the first steps?
Sure, sure. You know, so yeah, I do volunteer with a lot of other nonprofits and kind of had an idea of how they function, how they worked, what the backbone was. And for a while, almost about a good year, I kind of went back and forth as to whether I wanted to do an actual nonprofit or not. And for me, becoming a 501c was beneficial because of the donations. Because I think there's only so certain amount of money that you can donate without the government kind of saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" you know, like legally. So that was the main factor of why I wanted to become an official 501c, because I wanted to accept monetary donations of a variety of sizes, especially if we do other big fundraisers. Like I want to do a fun run, of course, you know, a couple hundred, maybe more donation in terms of sponsorships. I wanted to do that legally. So I did a lot of research online, went to LegalZoom, went to a couple of the other legal websites that give you advice, and just did a lot of reading. I have some friends. My one particular friend, he's actually a director, executive director of a nonprofit. And so I kind of picked his brain and asked him, you know, what are the positives of the nonprofit? You know, what do you think you've wished you knew before you went into it? And so just a lot of firsthand experience as well. But at the end, it seemed like the 501c was really and truly what the best thing for Period Power.
Yeah. I appreciate how you share about the vision and needing to know and understand what are we trying to do and what's the reason behind wanting to have a legal entity, because that a lot of times people are like, I want a nonprofit. It's like, well, why do you need to do this if it's just you're going to workshops? Like if you're not receiving donations, you might not need it. And it's a
Right.
lot of work. It's expensive. It's probably a renewal process each year. So,
Mhm.
and so it's definitely, I like that you started first with, okay, what are we doing? And then what are our options to consider in order to do this in a, smart and legal way? So
Right.
once you decided that that is what the direction that you wanted to go, did you hire a lawyer to do all the paperwork for you? Or is that something you navigated on your own?
No, I did it on my own, and that was something that I did also kind of consider. Do I do this with a lawyer? And um, you know, I talked to my counsel, my mom and my husband to see, what their thoughts were, and they thought that I could do it on my own, and if there was a point that I needed a lawyer to come in to go ahead. But it was really smooth, really not an easy process, but a process that was very straightforward, that I didn't feel like I needed any assistance. And but definitely there's always the option to have a lawyer on hand just in case something happens. I definitely, agree and encourage people to, look at your resources, look at the help that's around you if you do have any questions. And there's also a Southeast Texas nonprofit center here in the area that I've also reached out to them, and they actually help nonprofits, or they help groups develop into nonprofits. So they also have a lot of resources, and I email all the time, and they even said, go ahead and do what you can, and then proceed and make it into a 501c3.
That's great. Was it an expensive or time consuming process? About how much was it in terms of investment?
Um, it was a couple $100. It wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. I don't remember, but maybe probably less than 300, less than 400, just to do all the filing, for the Secretary of State of Texas. Of course, that might vary between state and state, but it was around that much to actually file the documents. And it said anywhere from 3 to 6 months to actually find that you're official nonprofit. But there's definitely steps where you need to, get your numbers, I guess, to open up a bank account and whatnot. And so there's definitely a process to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. It's just incredible that you were able to do that. And I know that you love volunteering and
Mhm,
you are very well connected in your community. And
mhm,
that led you to another opportunity, which you
mhm.
have sort of received and now are recrafting and redistributing. Can we talk a bit about GEM?
Yeah, so GEM stands for Girls Empowerment Movement. And I was a volunteer for about 2 years with it's called a Tween Esteem Camp. And a local lady here started this for junior high, middle school girls just to develop self-esteem skills and leadership skills. And it was a full day workshop and all the girls loved it. And it was just a fun experience to be a part of. And, certain life experience circumstances happen and she wasn't able to do it. So I felt, let's kind of rearrange it, make it maybe a little, shorter length and time this time around, just so I get my feet wet and kind of learn what I need to do. And so we held our first GEM workshop last May, and our next one will be next month on the 21st.
That's so cool. And those are local workshops
Yes,
specific to teen and tween.
yes.
What are the ages of that?
So right now, like 10 to 14, 10 to
Okay.
14. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What a cool thing. That's just such a great experience. And it's incredible that you are able to do that and then contribute that in the pageant world as well and promote it through
Yeah.
as Mrs. Texas. Can you share a bit about your journey as Mrs. Texas and what it was like to go to the national pageant?
Oh yeah, nationals was so much fun. I learned so much, and so I started out with the Texas Petite pageant 2 years ago in the Misses division, and I placed first runner up. But had so much fun. Loved the director Vanessa. She was such a light and a joy, and really made it so much fun to want to come back. And so I came back the next year. I won the Misses title and prepped throughout the whole year with Win A Pageant, went to nationals, and it was so great to connect with other Win A Pageant contestants and to see Nancy and to see everyone there and be like, yeah, we know each other and we can probably see each other face to face. And so it was such a great experience that I have to come back to either Texas Petite in a different capacity or even at the national level again.
That's wonderful. Yeah, the petite system. We love the petite system. It's such a good one and it really does create a beautiful experience
Mm-hmm.
for all of their contestants at every level. That's
Yes.
something that I know they really strive to do at the state and national and even the
Yeah.
international. So
Yeah.
that's great that you've been able to do that. Can you share a little bit about your experience with the academy? What did you love about it? What are the things that you think were maybe happy surprises that you found along the way? And how did it help you?
Oh wow. I mean, I was listening to the Academy way before I was an actual member, listening to your podcast and watching your videos on YouTube. And I just love the way that you broke things down to bite-sized, meaningful tips that really kind of made things easy to understand and applicable to how I wanted to proceed in my pageant journey. So it's such a great learning experience. Um, that I definitely will cherish everything that all the wisdom pearls that I acquired.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate hearing that. Yeah, it is such a cool experience to be a part of a high performing group of women from
Mm-hmm.
all over the world. And then, as you said, to be able to meet a lot of those gals at the petite
Mm-hmm.
pageant and resting assured that you all are trained to bring your own unique qualities. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're able to be friends versus competitors because you know she's got her own unique gold and it's on
Right.
her to deliver it. I've got my own unique gold and it's on me to deliver it to the judges. And so then every person is able to show up to be. We had so many women that were at the petite system in lots of different
Yeah.
categories. And so it was so fun to see the Win A Pageant girls, as you girls would
Yeah.
get together and stuff. So, and Nancy, our coach, being able to be there to
Mm-hmm.
represent too was just so
Yeah.
beautiful. So, well, is there any other maybe like final tip or advice that you would give to other women who are in a similar situation as you, love volunteering? Maybe they want to compete in pageants or they want to start a nonprofit. What's a piece of
Mm-hmm.
wisdom or advice that you would share with others?
Mhm. Yeah, for me, I'm considered a somewhat risk taker. There are things that I go for, and without even thinking about the other things that I have to be prepared. Either category that you're in, it's okay. It's if you're just a go ahead and let's do it, or I need to learn, I need to process. Because either way, you're going to reach your goal. That's the way how you process things. That's the way that you know how to get things done. It's familiar to you, so either, like I said, either category, either case, just continue to be you and be true to yourself, and just share with the community. Let them know, because they will definitely back you up.
Thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.